Good morning, everybody. It's Mr. Matthew here once again to do story times. So today's story time, we're only going to do 2 books today, but they're some of my favorites because what I'm going to do today is read 2 different versions of the 3 Little Pigs. Now, you might have heard this story before, so bear with me on this one. But the other one we're going to read today is The True Story of the 3 Little Pigs, which is one of Mr. Matthew's favorite books. So let's get started with The 3 Little Pigs. The 3 Little Pigs. 3 little pigs went out into the world. The first little pig met a man carrying straw. The little pig asked, "May I have some straw so I can build a house?" "Yes," said the man, "you can have some straw." Well, the first little pig took the straw and he built a house. What? A house out of straw? It's insane. A wolf came along and knocked on the door. Little pig, let me in." "Not by the hairs of my teeny chin." "Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in." Well, he huffed, and he puffed, and he blew the house in, and gobbled up the little pig. Well, then the second little pig, he met a man carrying sticks. The little pig asked, "May I have some sticks so I can build a house?" "Yes," said the man, "you can have some sticks." The second little pig took the sticks and he built a stick house. Well, a wolf came knocking on his door. Little pig, let me come in." "Not by the hairs of my chinny chin." "Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in." Well, he huffed, and he puffed, and he blew the house down and gobbled up the little pig. Oh dear. Well, the third little pig, he met a man carrying some bricks. The pig asked, "May I have some bricks so I can build a house?" "Yes," said the man, "you can have some bricks." Well, the third little pig took the bricks and he built a brick house. A wolf came along and knocked on the door. Little pig, let me come in." "Not by the hairs of my chinny chin." "Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in." Well, he huffed, and he puffed, and he huffed, and he puffed, but he could not blow the brick house in. Oh no. Well, the wolf was angry, and he jumped on the roof and wailed, little pig, I'm coming down your chimney, I'm gonna eat you up." Oh, he is not happy. But the little pig was smart. He was smarter than the wolf. He had a big pot of water waiting, and the wolf fell into the pot. Clump. And the little pig lived happily ever after in his little brick house. Well, that's a fun story, guys. Teaching you that maybe straws and sticks are the quick way to build a house, but not the right way to build a house. But why is that wolf eating piggies? Well, it just doesn't make sense. Why would he go through all that trouble? Now we'll find out why in the true story of the 3 little pigs. What actually happened. Everybody knows the story of the three little pigs, or at least they think they do. But I'll let you in on a secret. Nobody knows the real story because nobody has ever heard my side of the story. I'm the wolf, Alexander T. Wolf. You can call me Al. I don't know how this whole big bad wolf thing got started, but it's all wrong. Maybe it's because of a wolf's diet. It's not my fault that wolves eat cute little animals like bunnies and sheep and pigs. That's just the way we are. If cheeseburgers were cute, folks would probably think you were big and bad too. Well, like I was saying, the whole big bad wolf thing, that's all wrong. The real story is all about a sneeze and just a cup of sugar. The real story. Way back in Once Upon a Time, I was making a birthday cake for my dear old granny. I had a terrible sneezing cold, and I ran out of sugar. Oh no, you can't make a cake without sugar. So I walked down the street to ask my neighbor for a cup of sugar. Now, this neighbor was a pig, and he wasn't too bright either. He had built his whole house out of straw. Can you believe it? I mean, who in their right mind would build a house out of straw? So, of course, the minute I knocked on the door just fell right in. So I just called out and asked, little pig, are you in?" No answer. I was just about to go home without the cup of sugar for my dear old granny's cake when my nose started to itch. I felt a sneeze coming off, and I huffed and I snuffed and I... Achoo! Oh, I sneezed a great sneeze. Well, would you know what? The whole darn straw house just fell down, and in the middle of this pile of straw was the first little pig. Whew! He was dead as a doornail. He had been home this whole time. Well now, it seemed like a shame to leave a perfectly good ham dinner lying there in the straw, so I just ate him up. Think of it as a big cheeseburger you just saw lying there. Well, no sugar. I was feeling a little better, but I still didn't have my cup of sugar. So I went to the next neighbor's house. This neighbor was the first little pig's brother. He was a little smarter, but not much, 'cause he built his house out of sticks. Oh, little pig. I rang the doorbell of the stick house, and nobody answered. I called out, Mr. Pig, are you in?" He yelled back, "Go away, wolf, you can't come in. I'm shaving the hairs of my chinny chin." Oh dear, I had just grabbed the doorknob when I felt another sneeze coming on. I huffed and I snuffed and I tried to cover my mouth, but I sneezed a great sneeze. Achoo! Well, you're not going to believe it, but this guy's house just fell right down. When the dust cleared, there was the second little pig. Dead as a doornail. Wolf's honor. Now you know, food will spoil if you just leave it out in the open, so I did the only thing there was to do. I ate dinner again. Think of it as second helpings. Whew, I was getting awfully full. But my cold was feeling a little better, and I still didn't have that cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. So I went to the next house. This guy was the first and the second little pig's brother. He must have been the brains of the family. He built his house out of bricks. I knocked on the brick house. No answer. I called, Mr. Pig, Mr. Pig, are you in? And do you know what that rude little porker said to me? He said, get out of here, wolf, don't bother me again. Grrr. Oh, he's angry. Talk about impolite. He probably had a whole sack of sugar, and he wouldn't give me even one little cup for my dear sweet old granny's birthday cake. What a pig! I was just about to go home and maybe make a nice birthday card instead of a cake, when I felt a cold coming on. I huffed, and I snuffed, and I sneezed once again. Then the third little pig yelled at me, and your granny is old and she can sit on a pin. Wow, how rude. Achoo! 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 I'm usually a pretty calm fellow, but when somebody talks about my granny like that, I go a little crazy. When the cops drove up, of course, I was trying to break down this pig's door, and the whole time, I was huffing and puffing and sneezing and making a scene. He kind of admits that he was trying to break into that last house. Big bad wolf. The rest, as they say, is history. The news reporters found out about the two pigs I had for dinner, and they figured a sick guy going to borrow a cup of sugar didn't sound very exciting, so they jazzed up the story with all of that huffing and puffing and blowing your house down, and they made me the big bad wolf. But maybe you could give me a cup of sugar. Oh, he got arrested. So that's the true story of the three little pigs. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next week.